take it away.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, Robbie. Hi, Catherine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Bev?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to just, thank you so much in particular for putting so much thought into the pre-work. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm just really excited and eager to get your feedback today. Just the glimpse into your experiences based on what you wrote in the pre-work is really interesting to me. So I really appreciate you helping us with this project. Have you participated in research before?
I've done focus groups, but not scientific research now.
Okay. Well, just a couple pieces of housekeeping to go through before we get started into the main part of our interview. As you can see here, my name is Bev Anderson, and I'm with Market Strategies International, and we do abide by a particular marketing research code of conduct. So we always let folks know that this study is being sponsored by a pharmaceutical company, but it doesn't involve any promotional materials. Really just want to get some feedback from you relative to the experiences that you've had taking care of your mom and her treatment plan for non-small cell lung cancer. Everything that we're talking about is confidential and anonymous. There are some others that have an interest in what we are talking about that are viewing our time together, and our time together will also be recorded so we can go back as a team and write a report. I don't think that this will come up in the course of our interview, but it might. So we always let folks know that sometimes different patients respond in different ways to the same medication, and they don't find out about those side effects until it's been on the market for some time. So if you should happen to mention a specific side effect or a product problem that you may have heard about or that your mom may have experienced with one of the sponsor's products, we do report that back to them. Again, it's anonymous and confidential. It's really just to help them learn a little bit more about the safety of their medicine. Okay. Does that sound good? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, perfect. And then final note, and it probably seems like I shouldn't have to say this, but we are going to be looking at some proprietary ideas today. And so you might read about some things that are new, and would just ask you to keep that proprietary and confidential within the course of our conversation. And sometimes I forget to say this in the beginning, but I always want to remind folks that I am a market researcher. I'm not a doctor. So there may be questions that you have that come up that I can't answer directly, but I'm just as interested in knowing what some of your questions are, even if I'm not able to answer them within the course of our conversation today. Okay. What I'd like to do first is pull up the pre-work that you did, and thank you so much. It sounds like, the overall experiences that you had in caring for your mom were pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
That you were pretty aggravated. Yeah. So when from the time that she was diagnosed through the different types of opinions, the different, the variety of opinions, going for a second opinion to MD Anderson, and even asking for a specific combination. What was the length of time? What would give me some sense of time? Because I know you're like, we're tired of so much time is passing. What's that sense of time?
So my mom had been she's been saying, sorry, let me rewind. In 2014, she went for just kind of like a general checkup to a bunch of specialists, and she went to a lung specialist. They found a 1 centimeter nodule in 2014. So he said, come back, it's too small to do anything. So the past year or so, she was feeling some chest pain, but she didn't go to the doctor. It had been about 2.5 years. So finally in December, after I had moved out of state, unfortunately, she went to the ER and they did a whole workup, and that's when they first saw that the nodule that had been there had grown to about 1.9? It was like 2.3, 2.8. I forget what it was. So that was December 1st. And then they spent the whole month of December doing all that they do when they suspect cancer. So that took up the whole month. They did a lung biopsy, and that failed. They didn't get a good sample because the radiologist decided that there wasn't a good second attempt try. So then the oncologist said, okay, well, let's try a surgery. And that was scheduled for early January. But then she had to do a pre-op for cardio, and he said, well, you could have a heart attack. You have a leaky, I think it was arterial valve from the radiation from 20 years ago when she had breast cancer.
Okay.
So she couldn't have the surgery. So they did another biopsy at my request because I was like, she's not going to have the surgery. Try a different radiologist from a different location to try the biopsy. So they did it again in early February, and finally they got a sample. So once they did that, it took about 2.5, 3 weeks for the mutation results to come in.
Right.
Then once they had that, they said Keytruda would be her option.
Okay. Okay. So tell me, so the process where you, and I'm thinking specifically here of that, I'm curious what you read or what your expectations were. You said that you had heard or read that Alimta and Carbo along with Keytruda would be helpful. Tell me what you mean by that, would be helpful. What did you learn?
So I joined some Facebook groups. One was specifically for people with Keytruda, and then there were people within that group that said they weren't only on Keytruda as a monotherapy, they were also using Alimta and carboplatin, and they were saying they had good results with that because I had instigated some posts, and I was like, does anyone have a 100% mutation for the PDL1 that's doing Keytruda alone? And then a bunch of people just ignored that part and said, well, I'm doing this and this, and I'm having good results. So that's where I first heard about it.
Okay. And so I want to kind of jump ahead and talk about, and it's related, but I want to jump ahead in the homework. And again, thank you so much for doing all of this. It's such an important part of our analyses. I really appreciate all the thought that you put into the images in particular. It's super helpful. I want to jump to this and this idea of looking at all of those places for information and trying to get to this majority opinion. It sounds like you were really pushing for a particular kind of therapy, but your oncologist decided that that wasn't right for your mom. Is that a good paraphrasing?
Well, I wasn't sure what the ideal treatment would be going in because she had breast cancer 20 years ago. They gave her a very aggressive form of chemo, and she had no side effects. So going in, we were like, chemotherapy by itself, like, just a what they call toxin, but a drug to actually kill the cancer cells may not be bad. But her general oncologist said with her age, this is 20 years later, she may not have no side effects again, and it'll be a different chemo. It won't be the same one. So his straight opinion was you have 100% mutation, Keytruda all the way. But that sounds good, but for me, because Houston is so close, I was like, let's just go to MD Anderson and just get that second opinion. And he just didn't care about immunotherapy at all. He just thought, I think chemo, and if she can, have some radiation. So we thought about that for a little bit. We have two doctors. One's a lung specialist at MD Anderson saying do chemo, and then we have a general oncologist saying Keytruda. And when I asked kind of like a general opinion on Reddit, Facebook, some actual lung cancer boards, I put the entire situation down in a post, and everyone was just like, well, with her age and all of her symptoms and all of her other health issues, you might as well go with Keytruda first. And then if it doesn't work, you can always try chemo. So we were running out of time. We had to do something.
Okay. No, I really appreciate that. As you think of all of it, sounds like in the end, some of the other groups that you sought opinions with kind of validated the approach that your doctors had recommended taking. Does that sound about right. Is there one, what's the one
The general
place or point of
oncologist they agree
authority?
with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there one place or kind of resource that you think of as more important in the search than the others in terms of guiding you toward the right specific treatment?
Well, of all the places that I asked questions in, the most responses that I got were on Facebook, just because there were over 1,000 people in the group, and people are always on social media, so they're always replying when they see something.
Okay. Okay. And when you think of that idea of combination therapy, were there
Mm-hmm.
other combinations that you heard of? And I'm curious for you when you said, I'm curious what your expectations would be of that type of combination. Was it just that they had better results, or tell me what the expectations were that you had of a
I
combination?
think some other people mentioned Opdivo instead of Keytruda, but that they had been on that for a few years. So Keytruda really was made for the public for non-small cell lung cancer mostly in 2017 and later. So there wasn't a lot of people who were in my mom's exact position. They had either tried a different monoimmunotherapy or they had been in a trial for Keytruda, and they were using the chemo as well. I didn't hear of any other chemo drugs that were combined with Keytruda that I can remember anyway. So, yeah, if you had a more specific part of the question, I kind of forgot the whole question.
Yeah, no. I was just curious what your expectations were for a combination. If you how would you describe the benefit of a combination over just one drug alone?
I had Googled it, what the side effects were of Keytruda. They had given my mom a booklet from Merck on Keytruda. I had asked people what the side effects were with just Keytruda, and then I saw people all the time talking about their side effects with chemo alone and with chemo and Keytruda. People, anytime they had some form of chemotherapy that was not immunotherapy, they had side effects, they complained about it, and then it was like the Keytruda people swooped in and they're like, oh, I'm good, no side effects at all with just Keytruda. But when we went to a pulmonologist, he also thought some form of chemotherapy would be needed just because there were so many micronodules on the other lobe. And he was like, I don't know if immunotherapy alone, maybe some chemotherapy would be helpful because you're combining the immune system response with an actual drug that will kill the cancer. So it's like, why not hit it with both if you can?
Okay. All right. That was that was perfect. Thank you. That was a really, really great, succinct way of talking about what your expectations would be for that. Let me tell you what we're going to do next. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I want to show you. So in some case, I'm going to basically show you 12 different sets of ideas or statements. They're not advertising, they're not taglines, but they're just different ways of talking about some of the different pieces and parts of treatment plans for non-small cell lung cancer. In some cases, I'm going to show you a statement by itself. In other cases, we're going to be looking at a bunch of different ideas together, but I'll try to be super clear about it as we go through it. And just slow me down if it starts to get confusing at all, because I know that I'm going to be showing you a lot of different stuff. Let's start with this first one. So this first one is concept W, and this actually talks a little bit about a particular treatment that you mentioned in your pre-work. So I'd like you to walk through this. We're going to walk through it together, and as you read it, you don't have to read it out loud, but I would love for you to tell me what's going on in your head out loud as you read through each of these. So, just tell me what you're thinking as you read through it. In particular, if there are any words or ideas that really jump out at you that you really like, or things that are confusing, I have a cool tool that will allow me to draw on here so I can circle ideas and cross out ideas and that kind of thing. So let's just take this first one. The first one's always the hardest, so just read through it and tell me what you're thinking about as you read through it.
Okay, so when I get to antifolate, first of all, I would naturally Google it because I don't know what a folate is. Different from most chemotherapies, I would think that's a positive thing. Folates naturally occur in your body to help cells grow. So my initial thought, without going any further, is, ooh, maybe this is something that helps white blood cells multiply and can fight cancer. But then I'm thinking, well, that's kind of an immunotherapy. That's not what a drug would do. So let me read on.
Okay.
Like T cells, cancer also needs folate to grow and multiply. So I'm like, okay, folate help all kinds of cells grow and multiply. Therefore, an anti-folate can block folate to help slow the growth and survival of cancer cells. So then I'm wondering, okay, so is Alimta an anti-folate that only blocks it for cancer cells or all cells?
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good question.
That's all I'm thinking from this slide.
Okay. Or just cancer. So tell me what that means. If it isn't, so you're wondering if it, tell me what you mean by that or what the implication would be.
So like healthy cells, cancer also needs folates to grow. So I'm thinking, all right, healthy cells need folate. So if you're giving a person an anti-folate, is it going to prevent healthy cells from growing? So are you blocking someone's healthy cells as well?
Okay. So earlier you said, which is different from most chemotherapies, and you said that's probably a good thing. Tell me what you mean by that. So
where would you
put Alimta?
When you hear chemotherapy, and from what I know when my mom had it 20 years ago, she didn't have any symptoms, but the majority of people do not have good reactions to chemotherapy because I guess just growing up and being in the culture of what you hear about it, it's poison, it's toxin, you're poisoning your body, you're killing cells, you're killing healthy cells and cancer cells unless somehow they target specifically the cancer cells, which would be a more positive attribute. I haven't delved too much into the research of how targeted chemotherapy drugs are compared to immunotherapy.
Okay. So when you read it, Alimta is an anti-folate. Do you think of it, where would you place that on the continuum of treatment? Is it a chemotherapy? I mean, just based on what you've read here. Is it a chemotherapy or is it?
Yeah, I would think it's a chemotherapy.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Anything else in this particular idea that's confusing or that you want to point out in terms of it? Would you see Alimta as a good thing? I'm curious, based on the research that you did before, and you read that Keytruda with Alimta and Carba would be a good combination. Is that what did you have an understanding that this is what Alimta was?
No, I never went far enough because the majority opinion wasn't for it. It was kind of an add-on, and so I wouldn't have delved this far unless the doctor was actually going to approve it, but they didn't. So.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Now I'm going to show you two different ideas next to each other, and we're going to kind of do the same thing. So you have a good sense for the cadence now. I would love to read through these each one at a time, and we'll talk about them individually and then kind of compare them. So like you did with the other one, walk me through what you're kind of think out loud as you read through the concept on the left, and tell me what you're reading.
Okay. First off, I'm just trying to think when I see advanced non-squamous non-small cell lung cancer, I'm thinking, okay, so squamous cell was the other kind of lung cancer, and they call my mom's adenocarcinoma. So is that the same thing as advanced non-squamous?
Okay.
And then I'm thinking advanced. Well, how advanced? Those prescribed medicines for people starting treatment. Okay, that just sounds kind of like a first-line chemotherapy statement to me.
Tell me what you mean. Tell me what you mean by that.
First line, kind of this. We know you have this stage lung cancer, so this is a drug that has been proven in trials and treatments already to be effective.
Okay. Is that a good thing? Like when you read that it's one of the most prescribed medicines, is that a
Yeah, if it's one of the most prescribed, I would relate that to being a good thing.
okay? Okay. Now take me through the second one. So the
Okay.
concept next to it, read through that and tell me what, and kind of think out loud as you're looking through that.
Yeah, Olympia has been a leader in cancer care for people with advanced squamous for more than a decade. So before my mom had cancer, or lung cancer, I didn't know any of the drug names or any drugs that are used for lung cancer. So I'm reading a statement, a fact that I didn't know before.
Okay.
And that's kind of all I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Um, what about the words in here? I mean, tell me a little bit about, maybe compare the two. Are they both saying the same thing? And which one to you reads as more of a benefit?
Starting treatment. Well, so a difference is that the first one is saying starting treatment for the cancer, and the other one is just kind of a general, this is a drug that seems to be effective overall in treatment,
Okay.
not just
Okay.
starting treatment.
Okay.
In terms of which one might be a more beneficial statement, probably the one on the right, because if it, as a whole, is a leader in cancer care, rather than just starting treatment, that would be more beneficial.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about that. What does that mean? If it's not just first line, but it's more of a
Well,
whole.
so when you start treatment, you could be doing treatment for years. You don't know. So I'm thinking people starting treatment for lung cancer, it may work in the beginning, and then maybe it will stop working.
Okay.
Maybe the body just becomes immune to the drug or it has no effect anymore. But if it's a leader in cancer care, then I'm thinking, okay, it seems
Okay.
to keep going and remain effective.
Okay. Okay. When you think of, is there one of these that, says to you that it has more history? Is there either of these that says,
Yeah,
is
I
it,
still think the one on the right just sounds like it
okay,
has more history because you're using the word leader and you're
okay,
using cancer care instead of starting treatment.
okay. All right, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, very good. So I put the concept L2 as the first choice for you just because of that
Yeah,
word leader. Is that right?
yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah.
Um, well, let's take a look at the next set of statements. You're doing great. So we're on the third set of statements here, which is awesome. So you kind of understand the cadence that we're looking at here. So we're still talking about Alimsa, and let's
Mm-hmm.
read through both of these in the same kind of way that you did last time, and then we'll talk about them and think out loud as you're reading through the concept on the left.
Okay, so when side effects are manageable, then they're manageable. So I'm thinking, okay, there may be some side effects, but they can be managed. But a grade 1 side effect can be managed as can a grade 4. So I'm not clear yet on how bad the side effects are. There's no limit to how long you can take it. All right. Well, I'd like to know from reading that, what is the average that people have to take it as long
Okay.
as it keeps working. So there's no limit to how long you can take it as long as it keeps working. Well, I'd also want to know statistics on how effective is it and how long does it work on average, I guess.
Okay.
And again, stage-wise, are we talking about stage 4 or are we talking about all stages? Let's
Oh,
see.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Do you want
Okay.
me to move to the right?
Yeah, let's take a look at the right, and then we'll kind of compare them.
Okay, so some chemotherapies limit how much you can take over time. However, Olympia can be taken for an extended period. I'd like to know what that extended period is, so you can continue to fight your cancer and benefit from the effects. Okay, so I'm just automatically thinking, okay, Alimta sounds more positive than another chemotherapy I would hear about if that is the case, that you can take it longer and it is still effective.
Okay. And so expand on that a little bit and what you're getting from, are you getting that from both, or are you getting that mostly from the one on the right?
I'm getting it more from the left because of the no limit. The no limit is strong verbiage compared to extended period. Because extended period kind of sounds like it will end, where no limit is no limit, infinite.
Okay.
So that, yeah.
Okay. When you think of the idea that there's no limit versus taking it for an extended period, tell me what you think they mean by that, and in what context would you think of a particular drug that your mom might be prescribed for an extended period of time or without limit? Have you gotten to that discussion yet?
Well, they haven't talked about it to her, but from what I've researched, I know that so far some people haven't even been taken off Keytruda unless they have side effects that they have to take them off. But if it's working, it's a drug that there's no limit to so far because it's so new. They keep people on it even if they've gone into remission because they don't want it to come back. So when I'm thinking of Alimta, I'm kind of comparing it to that. But I'm thinking it's not an immunotherapy, so I don't think it could go on forever. But I guess as long as you have cancer cells, maybe it could keep doing what it does to keep them at bay or kill them.
Okay.
So, I mean, it could be just as effective as an immunotherapy.
Okay. That's great. So you've read about that with Keytruda. So if you think of that idea that it could be taken to keep the cancer at bay, that if there isn't any limit, that like a Keytruda, that it could be taken so that it doesn't recur. Is there one of these versions that does a better job of communicating to you the benefit of taking it, of that idea that it could be taken longer so to prevent a recurrence?
Yeah, the left. I still think that no limit is strong enough to keep it going.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Let's take a look at this next one. So this is another way of talking about Alimta. And there's just one here. So read through it, think out loud for me, and we'll keep moving through.
Okay. Alimta is a strong foundation for your treatment plan. So foundation, I'm automatically thinking it's like layers of treatment. So you're going to need to add on to it. You can do more to attack cancer by adding Alimta to other cancer treatments. So then I'm thinking, well, that's not a foundation then. If you're adding it, then something else is a foundation. So it's kind of opposite of what I just read in my mind. Alimta is proven effective when combined with certain cancer treatments, specifically modern immunotherapy. And immediately I'm thinking, oh, what I read was right. Alimta could be very beneficial to add to Keytruda. And that's a very positive statement there.
Okay. So I love that you drew this, what seems to be kind of a contradiction here, that when you read the word strong foundation, you think that that's kind of the core treatment. But then when you read adding, that doesn't sound like a foundation.
Yeah, especially because in the previous slide it mentioned that it's a first treatment, I think. I forget what the wording was, but I had contributed it to being like first line. So I'm
Right.
thinking that's what you would start with, starting treatment. But when
Okay.
they say you can do more to attack it by adding it, well, then you've started with something else. So apparently it's not, according to this
Okay.
slide, the first starting treatment.
Okay. I know you're not a physician. I'm not a physician. Which is more important? I know that sounds funny, but are you? Let's imagine that there are three particular therapies in a plan. How do you make that distinction between what might be a foundational therapy and what might be added in, and which is more important? Do you have any sense of that?
Are we combining immunotherapy with a chemotherapy drug? Is one of them one or the other? Both?
Yeah, imagine. Yeah.
Okay. I think because of all my research, I tend to think that immunotherapy would be the foundation, would be number
Okay.
one, because of the lack of side effects, if that is what is found in trials and cases, because I was worried about Keytruda because there's so many side effects that can happen. I don't know how to word it. Like, you know what to expect when you have a chemotherapy drug, but with immunotherapy, it's very dependent on the person's immune system and how your immune system just reacts to the drug. It could be very, very bad. So it's very risky to take something that is marketed as such a miracle drug.
Okay.
But for people of older age, speaking from my mom's experience, because it has been proven so far to have those minimal high-risk grade 4 side effects, and
Okay.
having traditional chemo would be hard on their systems at an older age, that it's good to try it at least. And as Olympus is being advertised, if you see that your tumors aren't shrinking or anything like that when you have your scans, it would be a good thing to add it on, not
Okay.
as foundation, but as an add-on, like it says.
Okay.
I mean, I could try and look at it the other way, where you start with chemotherapy to just have that first attack, like first line of attack, like kill, kill, kill. And then
Right.
if your tumors have shrunk, then if they either, one, the chemotherapy isn't having as much of an effect anymore, or you're having really bad side effects, then try the immunotherapy as option B. So there's kind of either or, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. Super helpful.
Yeah.
So for the next set, there's actually 5 different ways we're going to talk about Olympsa and Keytruda together. And there's 5 different ways that we're going to look at. We're going to look at them each individually, and then I'm going to put them all on the same page. So we'll do kind of quick hits for each individual one, and then we'll compare them next to each other. So let's take a look at this one first. Olympsa plus Keytruda. Get the impact of both plus platinum therapy. What do you?
I didn't do any research into what is platinum chemotherapy.
Okay.
I think my mom had it in her, they call it FAC, when she had her aggressive breast cancer chemo. I think it's kind of a general chemo drug, but I don't know specifically about Googling it what it is.
Okay.
So I'm thinking from reading this that it's probably another drug. So I'm thinking Olympsa plus Keytruda plus this other drug. So you're getting the impact of 3 drugs, 2 chemotherapies and 1 immunotherapy.
Okay. What is that? As I look at this word impact, what does that mean? What do you get out of that? What do you think the main idea is that they're communicating here?
Treatment, just this is how it's going to treat you, get the impact. So it's going to have some effect. So a positive correlation because an impact is kind of like a hit. Like I think of a car hitting something, it's impacting something. So you're actually getting a positive reaction.
Okay. Okay. All right, perfect. Let me make sure I note that. Well, let's take a look at this next one. So this one is Alimta plus Keytruda work alongside each other with platinum chemotherapy to help you live longer.
Mm-hmm.
Pull that one apart for me.
What's that?
Pull that one apart for me. Tell me what you think about, what are you reading here?
Work alongside each other to help you to live longer. I don't know if I like the alongside each other. I don't know. It's not as direct as impact. Impact is like, bam. And alongside each other, it's just kind of like you're next to each other, but you're not impacted. Plus, they'll help you live longer. That doesn't make me feel good because I would want to hear something more like a cure. Not that, I mean, if you Google non-small cell lung cancer, you'll read everywhere that there isn't a cure. But then when you read people who have been on Keytruda, you can hear about remission and that they have no signs of tumors. So, I don't know. When I hear live longer, I'm like, well, that's good, but it's not the best statement that I'd want to hear in terms of effectiveness.
Okay. So helping you live longer doesn't read that there's a remission.
No.
And what's the difference between, a terrible, unfair question to ask, but what's the difference between remission and help you live longer?
Well, to live longer means like you're treating something that is there. It's still there. You still have some sign that you have cancer. So there's a tumor or there's cancerous cell still present and you're just being treated for your issue, whereas when you're in remission, there's nothing there. So you don't need, ideally.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. Perfect. Let me show you this next one. And tell me what you think about that.
When I read Give Your All, I'm thinking other people will think, oh, I have to work. Like, this is going to be an uphill battle. Yeah, it's not telling me a lot of information. It's just give. You're telling me to do something. Okay, what do I have to do? Why isn't this drug telling me? Why isn't this drug doing it for me? I don't like it.
Okay. And anything else about, so you're implying, what you read into this is that if you're going to have to do a lot of work, tell me what you mean by that. So what does that mean? What does that mean for somebody like your mom when you say that, if she saw that Give Your All?
I don't quite know, because when you have cancer treatment, you don't ever think that you have to give your all. You kind of just expect the treatment that you have to do its thing, to cure you, hopefully, or to shrink your tumors or kill the cancer cells. I know for sure if my mom read that, Give Your All, she's like, what does that mean? What do I have to do? But on the other hand, I think some positive-minded people who know that it takes body and mind to heal yourself would maybe find it inspirational. They're like, oh, give your all. And they're saying you can do that with this combo here. But just in my mind, the first thing is not positive for me.
Okay. Perfect. Let's read through this one.
Keytruda and platinum. Take on advanced Is that some different angles? Wow, I'm thinking how. It's not giving me much information.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, what are these angles that it's talking about?
Okay. When you say how, what are the words that are vague to you?
Angles.
Okay.
And I guess take on. That kind of sounds like give your all. It's similar.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. That's all I have. I don't have a lot of information there for how it's going to do anything
Okay.
from different angles. I would have to know what angles am I dealing with, what happened before. It sounds like a story needs to take place here to lead to this definition.
Okay. Okay. If you had to guess, what do you think they're talking about for angles?
Well, if I
When you
had
think
a
of
thought of that,
Olympus,
trust me, I would have
yeah.
said something. I honestly have no idea other than maybe somebody tried something else, a different combo, a different drug, maybe just like my mom, Keytruda alone. And so adding Alimta and platinum is that different angle.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look at this last one in this series.
Okay, Alimta and Keytruda with platinum, 2 are better than 1. I'm automatically thinking there's 3 here because I'm thinking platinum is a third.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering why it's saying 2. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, Alimta and Keytruda are like a math equation. They're in parentheses. That's one combo, and then platinum is the other combo, so that's 2. But a better saying would be 3 are better than 1, or 3 are better than 2, because I just think people are going to think each of those is its own entity. But the message is good. Yes, it's great to have more than one option fighting at the same time. But then I'm also thinking, well, is it better to try one and then have another to follow as a backup in case one fails? Because if you would start with all 3 and then you're not doing well, then what's your backup? You kind of don't have a fail-safe anymore.
Okay. Is that part of the discussion that you had with your oncologist? I'm curious where that kind of point of view came from. Is that?
No, we didn't.
I saw that a little bit in the pre.
Because he wanted Keytruda by itself, and so I think maybe they may have mentioned if it doesn't work, then you have chemo to fall back on. The MD Anderson doctor didn't mention any fallback if the chemo didn't work because he didn't talk about immunotherapy. And I haven't gotten a chance really to talk to my mom's current general oncologist about Alimta or carboplatin because I don't think I've actually seen him since she started. Well, we haven't seen him since she started Keytruda. And I sent a long message to their office, and they never replied to me. So
Okay.
We have no info yet about that, if that would even be an option.
Okay. So all the 5 that we just read together, I'm going to put them here on one slide for you. And so we've kind of dissected all of these. I'm curious if there's one of these that really rises to the surface and does a better job than the others. And I want you to imagine for a minute that you have in front of you 100 coins. And you can assign the 100 coins in any way to each of these 5. You can give one concept 100, or you can split them all up evenly. You can give some none, and you can split 50-50 between 2 of them. Any combination of coins. How would you assign coins to these 5?
Okay, well, I know that 8-2 would be my 0 probably. I don't like that one at all. My highest, and I'd have to think about the amount, would probably be the 2 are better than 1, concept H4. I'd probably give it 60.
Okay.
I think the impact to H3 would be my next highest. Angles would be after that, and then the live longer would be last, or after that. So in terms of amounts, it would probably be 20 to H3. So I think I only have 40 left. So, and then 10 to the other two.
10 to the other two, okay. My mouse does not want to work on these today. I'm going to, looks like a child writing. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
What was it about H4, the one that you gave 62? What was it about that merited 60 over all the others?
The whole point that instead of one treatment, you're getting multiple. You're putting numbers in there, so you can actually see the benefit with numbers instead of words.
Okay.
And you're making a statement there. You're saying two are better than one. So that's just a hard-hitting statement there.
Okay. Okay. That was perfect. Thank you so much. Now we're going to look at 4 statements together this time. It's a similar series of statements that we just talked through, but I want to go ahead and show all 4 of them on one page, and see if we can do it that way. So rather than having each on an individual page, I'm going to show you all 4. But I want to see if we can go through each one by one and just take it from top right or top left to bottom right and kind of pick each one apart and then go back and do that same exercise with 100 coins.
Okay.
So let's look at this, read through the one on the top left-hand side, and just as you've been doing, think out loud. Are there anything that just seem like a high benefit or really resonate with you versus ideas that don't resonate with you?
Okay. When you say you can benefit from the activity of each, it's a very simple statement. You can benefit. Okay. Benefit is kind of like a minor word in my hierarchy, I guess, of what I want to hear good effect treatment-wise. Benefit, great. Well, how about, I think treat is probably better than benefit. And I'd have to think of a word that's better than treat. But I'm just kind of like.
But the idea, sure.
Okay. And then I was thinking when I see Alenta and Keytruda in caps and then I see platinum chemo underneath in lower caps or lower letters, I'm just thinking, why are we combining Keytruda with Alenta? Maybe I was wrong and Alenta is not a form of chemotherapy, because then I'm thinking, okay, well, it's an antifolate. Are they calling that a chemotherapy? I've forgotten already. And then platinum chemo just sounds like, I guess, general chemotherapy, just a cytotoxin. So I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's already off my mind.
Yeah. So I'm going to the concept C2.
Yep.
Alenta, Keytruda, and platinum work in different ways. Okay. Fighting cancer from different angles. Okay. That sounds very positive to me. I like to hear fighting cancer from different angles, so in multiple ways, but all at the same time. So it's just like you're bombarding it with as much as you can.
Okay. Okay. So earlier So earlier, I'm curious, when you read the word angles here, it says bombarding, but there was another version that we looked at earlier that talks about different angles that just the one in the last one said taking on advanced non-squamous, non-small non non-small cell lung cancer from different angles. What's different about this
It's
one?
because of the verb, take on.
Okay.
I didn't like. I like fight.
Okay. 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 So that helps that one. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Activate and attack. Alimta and Keytruda work to attack cancer cells and activate the immune system. Okay. It answered what I was asking originally in my head when I read activate. I'm like, oh, how? And activate what? Okay. So you're getting the impact of both along with platinum chemo. And I'm kind of having a similar reaction to maybe like a combo of both up top. I'm thinking it's very positive. It has the word impact in there. It also has attack and activate. So those are all very positive verbs. Activate and attack and activate, impact.
Anything confusing about this one? Or I'm curious why you're pausing on it. It seems like you're kind of, what about this one is maybe making you struggle?
Work to attack cancer cells. I mean, probably because it's a lot wordier than the other two, so it makes me think more. And I'm also seeing activate and attack, but then I'm seeing it again. It's repeating. So I'm seeing activate and attack, and then I'm seeing attack and activate in the sentence right below it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm like I keep going back to the first one. You can benefit from the activity, and then I'm like, oh yeah, blah. Then I'm thinking Alimta and Keytruda work to attack cancer cells and activate the immune system. And so when I read that, I'm using my knowledge of Keytruda and not having a lot of knowledge of Alimta and thinking, how does Alimta do that? How does it also attack and activate? So, yeah. And then for C4, Alimta and Keytruda work alongside each other but do different things. I remember the slides from prior saying that Alimta is an anti-folate, and I know Keytruda is an immunotherapy. Alimta attacks cancer cells directly. So then I'm thinking, okay, it was an I have to recall what I learned earlier. It's an anti-folate, and it prevents them from growing. So I don't know if I would say that's attacking it. I would think it's like preventing them from even existing, while Keytruda works with your immune system to fight them. So I would kind of think Keytruda is more the attacker. Well, I can't say Keytruda is attacking because it's causing your immune system to attack it, but that's more kind of a technical thing. So I agree with Keytruda works with your immune system to fight them. Alimta attacks cancer cells. I mean, it's positive and it works, but the scientist in me is thinking, well, it's not really attacking. It's just preventing them from growing. But I like it. I like the statement overall.
So if you look at all four of these, with that same coin concept or the same way of ranking it, is there one of these that articulate the benefit of Alimta and Keytruda together in a way that would make you say, that sounds like it could really benefit my mom. That's really something that we could benefit from. Is one a little bit more provocative?
Yeah. Different angles. Well, in terms of articulating, I have to rule out, I don't like C1 at all. I have to rule out C2 because it's just saying different angles, but it's not telling you how. The bottom two actually articulate that more. C3 is using verbs, and I think C4 is actually an explanation. So I think it depends on the person. If they're more of a words in your face, like verbs have more of an impact, verbs have more of an impact than an actual short answer explanation does. It would depend on the person. For me, I think C4 probably is the more articulate one.
Okay. What do you think your mom, if you think of your mom, which one would she gravitate to? Would that be the same one?
Because she's more, I hate to say it, but because she's more simple-minded and older, I feel like she would go with C1. As soon as she sees like benefit, she would probably think, oh, that's a positive word. I don't think angles would have any effect on her. And then if she hears, when she hears immune system in there, I think she'll start to drift off.
Okay. Okay. I have a whole bunch more stuff that I want to show you. You're doing such a great job in moving through this, and I know that there's a lot to read.
No,
so
nothing compared to what I've had to read, researching everything else.
So I'm going to do what we just did. Did you find it easier? I'm just curious for you. Did you find it easier to read each one at a time, or have all four of them together? Just
I like having all four together.
Okay. Well, let's go with that then. I'm going to do another one. So you're going to see a series of 3 statements here.
Okay.
And let's walk through each one individually, and then we'll talk about them a little bit together.
Okay. Proven to help people live longer. There's that live longer statement again, which I don't really care for. In a clinical study, so I'm thinking lab trials perhaps, people lived longer taking Alimta and Keytruda and platinum chemo compared to Alimta and platinum chemo. I'm thinking, okay, great. That's a good thing because my mom's doing Keytruda, and Keytruda is an immunotherapy, which in modern medicine is labeled a miracle drug currently, so that makes sense.
Okay.
There's a mistake, I think. Nearly 7 of out 10 people, so 7 should be out of. Nearly 7 out of 10 people were alive at 1 year, 69%, 283 out of 410. Okay. That's a lot of numbers. I think just having one of those is enough.
When you say one of those, tell me what you mean by one of those.
7 out of 10 is 70%. Then you have 69% there. Then you have 283 out of 410. That's saying the same thing 3 times. So
okay.
I think 7 out of 10 is simple enough for people to understand. 283 and 410, those are big numbers. You have to do more percentage calculation in your head. 7 out of 10 is easy. And it's higher than 69%, so we might as well just do that. Nearly 7 out of 10 people were alive at 1 year compared to less than 5 out of 10. Compared to less than 5 out of 10 who just had Alimta and platinum chemo. Yeah, I think when I read the whole statement, when I see the percentages, that's easier to compare than comparing 7 out of 10 and 5 out of 10. So if I'm just reading the beginning, I'm thinking 7 out of 10 is easier, but then when you're comparing it, I think the actual percentages are easier to compare.
Okay. I'm curious for you. So you went right to the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It would be great if you step back for a moment for me and look at there's a bold statement at the top of each.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about the differences between those.
Just the bold statements in each of them?
Yeah. Is it, and
So, I don't like live longer. Shrink tumors is good, scientific, accurate. Proven to help slow the spread, growth, or worsening. Again, that's slowing it. but that's not making it retreat. You're not shrinking it. So if I had to go in order, obviously how you did it, the check mark, middle one is first, followed by E3 and then E1.
Okay.
Slow
So
to
when you,
spread, or the worst thing is
right,
it's positive. It's just not as positive as the middle one.
right. So when you go under each, are you reading that the percentages, the percentages or the numbers in this case they correlate back to the headlines here, or the the bold statement at the beginning?
I hadn't even read any of that yet, so let me see. In the trial, twice as many tumor shrink, twice as many. Okay. Almost half of people had their tumor shrink. Okay, almost half of people had their tumor shrink compared to 1 out of 5. So 50%, 60-20%. In that middle one, I feel like saying twice as many people is way easier to comprehend than dealing with the numbers in E2.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even need to read the bottom of E2. I think once I read the top, I'm good with that.
Okay.
And then in E3 in the trial, fewer people saw their tumor spread by taking pizza, and then half the risk of the disease spreading, growing, or getting worse. Half the risk of the disease. So it depends how you read it. Because I'm thinking, wait, is half a verb here? Are we halving it? I'm thinking,
Okay.
half the risk of the disease spreading, growing, or getting worse. Or I'm thinking, before I read anything else, I'm like, okay, where's it going with this? It's starting with half the risk of the disease, da, da, da. Am I thinking a comma is going to come and then like another statement? So I don't even like that statement at all. I like, the top statement for that one.
Okay. Okay, got it. So if there's, is it safe to say that that E2 in its entirety, or as a kind of a holistic idea, is in and of itself is probably resonates with you a little bit more?
Yeah, because you're also telling people that their tumors are shrinking, that you're being healed. Whereas in the first one, yay, I'm living longer, but am I actually being healed? I don't know. But shrinking is a good, positive thing that you can see. It's actual results.
Okay. Okay. Do you have like five-ish more minutes for me? I know we're like right at our time.
No, I'm open schedule.
Okay. I will try to get through some of these ideas pretty quickly, but I would love to, since you're so good at kind of consuming all of these things together, I would love to get your feedback on these 3 ideas. And this, I'm just warning in advance that this is going to be a lot of words on one page, and I would normally take these one at a time. But I want to show you all 3 of these together and talk a little bit about them.
Okay. All right. When you drop platinum, then continue with Olympia. Right. How you feel may change. All right. So I'm thinking, okay, so I was on all 3. And now I'm dropping the chemo and just continuing with Olympia through that. Based on clinical study, and I'm automatically thinking, okay, well, this should be a positive change because I'm dropping chemo based on what I know of side effects of chemo. I'm hoping Olympia and Keytruda, with the rest I'm going to read, is positive. The most common side effects to watch for in initial therapy with Olympia and Keytruda. Okay, with all 3, with Olympia and Keytruda and platinum. I'm thinking initial, again, is kind of going back to that slide that said Olympia is foundation and a starting treatment. But here we're saying initial therapy with all 3. So it's not just the only one. The most common side effects to watch for in initial therapy with all 3: tiredness, nausea, constipation, diarrhea, just appetite. Yeah, those all sound like traditional chemo side effects. The most common side effects to watch for with Alimta alone, way less of them. And then everyone experiences side effects differently, so some of the side effects may have been more serious than others.
So
It's totally took out Keytruda. Like, there's no mention of Keytruda anymore in there. But at the top it says when you continue with both.
Yep.
So I would expect the most common side effects to watch for with Alimta and Keytruda, not just Alimta. I'm like, why is that being said when the top didn't even mention that?
Okay. Is that of concern to you, or are you, if you think of, you have familiarity with Keytruda, when you see the side effects of Alimta alone, does that still read as positive to you compared to the side effects with all three?
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely, that's just a fact when you read the differences in the list. I mean, you only have 3 there compared to like 10. Then I'm going back to the initial statement when you drop chemotherapy and continue with Alimta and Keytruda. And then I'm thinking, well, Keytruda has a lot of bad grade 4 side effects that are possible, aside from just these normal, what I would think are platinum chemo side effects.
Okay.
So to me, I'm taking away from this, Alimta really isn't that bad by itself. Platinum chemo is general chemotherapy, what we all think. It has all those side effects. I know the main side effects that with the majority of people are rash with Keytruda. Some can have a fever, and some are tired. Those are probably like the main 3. So
do you read something positive in this? If you think of overall expectations.
the overall message.
What's your, and I want to just focus on that first one. So if you just look at the first one, and we'll skip the other 2.
I haven't even looked at the other 2 yet.
No, we won't look at those. If you just look at this one, what's kind of after reading that first one, how would you summarize that to your mom or to a family member, what you just read about the side effects and what you could expect?
I would probably say if you're only taking Keytruda and Alimta together and no chemo, you probably would have no difference in side effects than just with Keytruda alone. So it really wouldn't make a difference if you added Alimta in regards to side effects.
Okay. And that's a good thing?
Yeah, it's a good thing. If you were taking chemo with it, obviously you could have more side effects. But again, as the bottom states, everyone's different, so you may not.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
So it's a positive statement for Alimta.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to show you 2 other quick slides. We won't look at the other 2 concepts here. Just wanted to, there's a lot to read on that page. So here's 2 other quick hits. So let me show you these. So this is, and you're a pro at this now. So as you look at these 2 statements next to each other, and I know that you said that you hadn't really talked about this idea of staying on treatment for your mom yet, but read through these and tell me what's going on in your mind as you read through them.
Okay, when you finish platinum chemo after 4 cycles of treatment, you may continue to benefit from Alimta and Keytruda as maintenance therapy. Okay, so I'm thinking somebody who has just chemotherapy first. So they've had that initial attack and killing of the cancer cells. I would wonder what the, tumor effect is. Has it shrunken any after just the chemotherapy because you're killing it, so you would hope that it shrunk? You may continue to benefit from Alimta and Keytruda as maintenance. So you're maintaining what the chemotherapy has killed, so you're keeping it at bay. I think maintenance therapy is it's a good statement because assuming that the chemotherapy did have some effect on the size of the tumors, maintaining that and possibly even, continuing to shrink it would be a good thing. But maintenance alone, when you put benefit and maintain, I guess, in the same statement, it works.
Okay.
I would wonder how, I'd be like, you may continue to benefit from it as maintenance. Well, how is it going to maintain it after I've just had chemo? That would be my one question.
Okay.
And then going on to M2, Alinta and Keytruda with platinum chemo can hit it hard during the first 4 cycles, and then Alinta and Keytruda can keep fighting it. Okay, yeah. That one seems more fluent to me. It's like, all right, it's giving you a result, where the first one's just saying when you finish the cycles, you may continue. So this is actually saying when you, hold on. This one's saying, okay, well, the left one is saying you're just having chemo, and the right one is saying you're having all 3.
Okay. Yep. So the way that you read the one on the left is you just finished chemo, then you can continue with Alinta and Keytruda, and the one
I'm not
on the
even
right
thinking.
is all 3. Okay.
Right. I'm not even thinking that you're even taking Alinta and Keytruda in the beginning.
Yep.
Whereas on the right, obviously it's telling you are, and it's positive because it's hit cancer hard, and then you're continuing with it and you're using that fighting term. So fighting versus maintaining means you're still attacking it, and you can still have results that result in remission or positive, more shrinkage, where maintaining, you're just kind of like keeping it where it is. Fighting is better. So definitely M2 is better than M1.
Okay. Versus that. Okay, perfect. All right. Super helpful. All right, last item. I want to show you one last thing before you go. Two different ways of talking about, it's kind of a different graphic way of describing a regimen with Alinta and Keytruda. So here's 2 different ways. So I know that this is a brand new idea for you to kind of consume, but if you think of, as you look at the 2 ways that this is communicated, I'm curious for you, which one is more clear? Which one seems like more
my initial look at it before even really reading the words was the top one, because you're showing 2 bars on top of each other parallel, and one keeps going. Whereas you have on the bottom, you have that middle bar, and then you have a bar that's perpendicular to it, and it's like, what I have to read to understand what that's going to tell me. Whereas the top, you already kind of know, especially with the cap of Alinta and Keytruda at the top, that you know where it's going immediately with the first line of sight. And then when you go to the right side,
that's more clear.
Yeah. Continue with maintenance therapy as long as your cancer remains stable. Take for up to 35 cycles, about 2 years. So the take up for up to 35 cycles, that would probably need to be moved up with the first statement, because I'm thinking it's going with platinum chemo if I, wasn't dissecting it, because the platinum chemo is on the left and then on the bottom, and so is that take up to 35 cycles. So
yeah, I hear you.
Obviously, that's not the same.
Yep. No, I hear you.
Yeah, and then the bottom gets started on Keytruda. Yeah. Get started for 4 cycles. I mean, that there's no space needed there. It's just that's like one sentence, and then keep going. Get started, keep going. Yeah, I mean the words are understandable, but I still think the bars say a lot more just physically than reading the titles. And again, the space. So yeah, just like Definitely the top.
Okay. Okay. What do you think about that idea of get started, keep going? In general, the word you said the words are understandable, but tell me what you mean by understandable?
I don't like keep going. I like continue. If you're gonna pick bold words to go with it, I like continue more than keep going because it's one word. It's just more simple.
Yeah.
And get started. I don't know. Again, like it's 2 words. I don't know. I personally like first line, but
Okay.
again, I know that's 2 words, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know what a
Okay.
good replacement for get started would be. Maybe
Okay.
for some people in the beginning, ...
Okay. Okay. I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Catherine, I thank you so much for staying on the line extra with me. I know that this has been a tremendous undertaking for you and your mom and your family, and I'm so appreciative of you sharing with us today. And can't thank you enough. You've made a tremendous difference in our project. Thank you so much for hanging with me through so much of this and getting the pre-work for us. Our time together has been super special. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I love doing this kind of thing, so anytime. All
All right. Thank you, Catherine. Take care.
right, you too. Thank you, Bev.
Okay.